Cycling has a way of making you feel really proud of yourself. Let me explain. As with a lot of endurance sport, endurance can be hard, and cycling is no exception. So naturally, there's a lot of things about it that make you feel pretty good if you are able to achieve them. So here are some cycling milestones that came to mind. First proper bike, first hill climb, like a proper hill, first long ride, however you define long ride, first bike event, first crash, first flat, first time to change a tire, first time off-road. I'm gonna share my cycling milestones with you as well. Let's finish the ride first. Oh, that hurt. So my first bike was a Jamis Beatnik. It was a single speed, and I really enjoyed that bike. I used it mainly for commuting. That's why I bought a bike in the first place, just to commute. And then that bike made me fall in love with cycling. I feel like that was my first proper bike. I had bikes before, but I never paid for it. I mean, they weren't really mine. And then they were like bikes when I was a kid. So that was my first proper bike. Although the bike that I first truly loved is the Midnight Special. The Surly Midnight Special.
It's American!
Hey guys! The next milestone is your first hill climb, and to be honest, I don't really remember my exact first hill climb, but I do remember the first proper hill that I climbed. My friend lent me his bike. Actually, it was his sister's bike, and it was a bit too small. And we went up the local climb. At the time, it was called Willie's, and it was probably about 300 meters climbed. And yeah, that was a good first climb for me. I was pretty proud about that one. I think that was my first time too to use like a drop bar road bike. My first proper long ride, I did a 100-kilometer ride up north on our roads here, and I remember that when I got back home, it was like at 98 or 99 kilometers. So I went back out, circled the block a little bit, and then I went back home to hit pretty much exactly 100 kilometers. That was a big milestone for me. I love long rides. Brought the Surly to the shop. Something inside the hub broke. Have to have it fixed by Kenneth. What else? Next one is the first bike event. I remember my very first bike event. It was a Cebu Epic 2019, I think. In my head, it was 90 kilometers, but when I looked at the Strava file recently, it was like 75 kilometers or something, but almost 3,000 meters of climbing. And I gotta say, that was a very memorable event for me. I think the thing about events is that it forces you to dig deep, it forces you to try really hard. Kind of opened up what I was capable of doing as well. I mean, I did not do great at all. Like, there was a point during the downhill when I felt miserable. And I told my cousin that I really needed to stop, and we just needed to sit under the shade and just sit there. Like, that's literally what we did. We just sat there for a couple of minutes because I was so dead. That event stuck with me. And in fact, after doing that event, I was really hyped to do a lot more events as well. And then 2020 hit, and then just a bunch of events got stopped. But that first mountain bike epic that I joined really inspired me to ride my bike. Which kind of segues into this thing that I've been seeing online. Like, I follow a lot of cycling stuff on social media, and I don't know, I think these are like cycling shops, just like this one, and then they're pointing out that, oh, before there used to be so many cyclists and now it's just a solo ride. And yeah, the reality was that during the pandemic, cycling was definitely at a boom. There was so many people cycling, and now less people bike. And honestly, to me personally, that hasn't really changed my enjoyment of cycling, because even though there's less people that bike, I can still get a good group of riders together. If I wanted the socialization, I could easily get 1, 2, 3, or 4 people to ride with me, and it would be a fun ride. But the reality is, most of the time I ride by myself and I've enjoyed it. But that brings us back to events, is that I feel like events are really important in just keeping a community together. Especially as a bike shop, I've noticed that a lot of shops, all they're trying to do is sell, which is great. I mean, we need to sell product, we need to have bikes maintained for us to survive as a business. But I feel like the long-term plan of a bike shop is really to just encourage more people to bike. And a lot of the things we do as a cycling industry, as a cycling community, it kind of deters people from cycling. It discourages them. If you're forcing people to buy a new bike every time you see them, then they're gonna kind of avoid you because they don't want to have to buy a new bike every time. And I am of the opinion that, honestly, the bike you are riding right now is probably fine. But don't let me stop you from getting a new bike. I know the joy having a new bike brings, but I think as a shop, as a community, as an industry, I think cycling just needs to encourage more people to bike. And if you can do that, I think you'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. I hope. This shop. I hope Villain Cycles will be fine. I feel like it's a long-term play of just encouraging as many people to bike as possible, and just showing people the joy that comes with cycling. Anyway, back to the milestones. The first crash, I was on my single-speed bike, and then I was crossing the road. I was basically walking the bike, and then there was a car that was on the road. The car saw me, it stopped, and then behind the car there was a motorcycle that was going pretty fast, it overtook the car, and when he overtook the car, that's when he saw me, and then he hit the brakes as soon as he saw me. Unfortunately, it was too late. Fortunately, I was looking at his direction. I saw him. I literally jumped as high as I could, and he hit the bike. The bike crashed on the ground. It was my Jamis Beatnik. It was a steel, high tensile steel frame, so nothing was gonna happen to my bike. And the motorcycle missed me, and I was really angry. But that was my first crash. And then for my first flat, I rode my bike through a gutter, very similar to these lines over here. Let me give you a closer look. And basically I rode my bike through the gutter. I didn't know that you had to pump up the tires every now and then. I probably didn't even own a pump back then. And I rode it through a gutter, and then I pinch flat. I double flatted. First flat sucked. Fortunately, it was in a mall that had a bike shop, so they helped me out. And then I think something that everybody who bikes should know how to do, they should know how to change a tire. And I remember the first time I changed my tire, so when I double flatted, the bike shop handled it. But shortly after, I remember going home and then simulating changing my inner tubes in my tire by myself. And I feel like that's a basic skill that most cyclists should know. It probably took me an hour or two to do it, and it's something that I still hate doing until now, but it is something that you should really learn how to do. Of course, if you're already running tubeless, then tubeless, like this is the sealant that we use, Black Ox, pretty good actually. If you're already running tubeless, then you're probably changing your tires a lot less. Forgot to flip that. We're actually waiting for a very important person. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna set up my little workstation. Ah, they're here. Hello.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi.
Say hi, guys. Welcome to the vlog.
Hi, sure. It's October. It's Halloween. My wife likes to.
I'm also your life.
Okay.
I love you.
She likes to decorate. What's wrong, bud?
Say hi, guys. Say hi. Say hi to everyone.
In the morning, sometimes the shop becomes a little nursery. What do you call a place that takes care of babies? Okay, so last milestone, first time off-road. I've talked about this ride before, but I ended up borrowing a mountain bike from a neighbor, which was also too small, by the way. But anyway, I borrowed the mountain bike from a neighbor, and then a bunch of friends and I went on a mountain bike ride. An XC ride. Basically, there was a lot of cemented sections, a lot of climbs, and a lot of off-road bits. Hi. And then I enjoyed the off-road bits the most. So, since I enjoyed the off-road bits the most, prior to that ride, I was actually thinking of getting a road bike, and that ride changed my mind. I also knew though that I didn't want a mountain bike because I enjoy doing long road rides. And since I enjoyed doing long road rides, I knew a mountain bike was not gonna be an option for me, especially since I could only get one bike at the time. So that's when I discovered gravel bikes, and that ride cemented my decision to buy a gravel bike, which ended up being a Jamis Renegade. There was not a lot of milk in that one. I'm gonna take care of the baby now, / turn on the TV, and hopefully he just falls asleep and I get to do some work. Ciao! Please subscribe!